Hello, my name's Debbie Challis and I work at the Library of the London School of Economics, or LSE. The London School of Economics is a large university in the centre of London. At the library we have a collection called the Women's Library. It comprises lots of papers and books about and by women over the last 500 to 600 years. One of the people whose collections we have, part of anyway, is Eglantyne Jebb. Part of the reason we have that collection is because a lot of it came from her sister Dorothy Buxton. So I'm going to talk to you today about what Eglantyne Jebb did, and with the help of her sister Dorothy Buxton, in terms of her early life, their childhood together, but also how she founded Save the Children and her role in the Declaration of the Rights of the Child in 1924. Eglantyne Jebb was born in 1876. Her brother Gamel was born in 1879 and Dorothy was born in 1881. They had 3 older siblings too, but there was quite an age gap between them. Eglantyne used to make up stories to entertain her younger brother and sister, and these images are from her journals when she was about 10 to 11 years old, so about the age of a class 5 and 6 in primary school today. She used cartoons, she doodled, she made drawings, she also wrote a mixture of poems and stories and pasted things in like postcards and clippings from newspapers. And they record some of their happy goings out on holiday, what they did. They liked to roam in the countryside near their home, ride horses and even ride tricycles, which was quite an innovation for the period. And you can see that she's drawn her family on a spring tricycling expedition. Their brother, Gamel, died when he was just 16. Dorothy was only 14 and Eglantyne was at university. The death of a sibling was quite common in that period, but it devastated Eglantyne and Dorothy, and they remained close to each other for the rest of their lives. And this abstract sculpture, called The Sisters by Nick Eames, which is in Ellesmer in Shropshire, interprets the sisters as being very close, almost leaning on each other. And it's made in cement, but it's supposed to look like a sort of split piece of wood. And the idea interprets their essential strength together. And it looks out over a mere or a large lake near where Eglantyne grew up. After Eglantyne's death, her sister wrote a letter to a biographer of Eglantyne with some of the childhood notebooks that we have in our collection at LSE. Dorothy says that the notebooks give a good picture of her character as a child, a very vivid imagination and passionate love of adventure. In 1919, a lot of imagination and sympathy were needed to help children. It's her imagination and sense of creativity in admittedly a very happy and fairly wealthy childhood that I think helped her respond to the needs of children after the First World War and through the 1920s. And during the First World War, there was a great deal of interest in children's health and protection of infants in particular, and these are some images from Infant Welfare Week. So lots of different groups were working on ensuring children had a better future. The armistice at the end of World War I and on the 11th of November 1918, our Remembrance Sunday or Remembrance Day, was officially a cessation of the fighting. It didn't mean that the blockade of Central Europe finished, and this caused massive famine throughout Europe. And there was also the influenza epidemic which was raging, as well as a refugee crisis. And in the midst of all this catastrophe, Eglantyne and Dorothy were determined to make the world a better place for children to grow up in. So they co-founded the Fight the Famine Committee in 1919. This wasn't just about children, but they shifted to using lots of images of starving children to raise sympathy and money. This was something that was an emotive campaign. It was shocking, and lots of people changed their minds when they saw images of starving children. In May 1919, Eglantyne and her former suffragettes, Barbara Ayrton Gould, were arrested in Trafalgar Square in London for handing out leaflets against the blockade. One of the leaflets was a shocking photograph of a starving baby. At the time, there was a law stopping criticism of the government called DORA, which was Defence of the Realm Act, and it meant that Eglantyne was tried for breaking that law because she was criticising the government actions in keeping up the blockade. Eglantyne said she hadn't broken the law, but she was found guilty, yet The magistrate who tried her was so impressed by her arguments that he actually made a donation to the Fight the Famine Fund. Soon after, Eglantyne and her sister and others co-founded the charity Save the Children in 1919. She campaigned and lobbied the newly formed League of Nations. She also got Pope Benedict XV involved, and he became known as the Children's Pope because he gave so much of his money to save the children. Eglantyne Jebb drafted a charter of children's rights called the Declaration of the Rights of the Child. She works with other organisations like the International Council of Women to basically lobby the League to adopt this charter and internationally agree it amongst all the nations who are part of the League. Eglantyne Jebb was what's described as a supranationalist. She wasn't a nationalist, she wasn't just an internationalist, she just believed that children should be helped wherever they were in the world. In 1928, she was very ill and she died only a few years after the Children's Charter was declared by the League of Nations. In Ellesmer today, there is a sculpture of a child looking over the lake where Dorothy and Eglantyne used to play. The children of 1919 and the 1920s and all of those who have been helped by Eglantyne and her work and her campaigning, and the children of today, whether they are refugees or happy with a home, are one big family. As Dorothy Buxton wrote, Eglantyne's past lesson for us all is the oneness of mankind, human beings everywhere as one big family with all its mutual responsibilities.